Yes, Grand Rising everyone, greetings everyone. I am Maisha Wilson, Secretary of State for the Nine Kipong government. Now today we're going to talk about the Constitution. We're going to read excerpt from the Constitution, so I hope you stay along with me for the ride. I hope you also go on our website to read the Constitution. Right, so today we have the Constitution of the Nyan Kipong Sovereign Maroon Global Tribal Nations Territories native of Atlantis, ex-America, North America. Pretty much what we call Turtle Island, right? Because all these islands were one. But today we're just going to go into the Constitution for our people. Right? So first, I will want to read some excerpts from the preamble. So I would say the preamble is sort of esoteric. However, it is wanting, it is showing us who we are divinely and humanly. So the preamble starts off by saying, we, the Nyan Kipong Global Royal Government, stand established upon the sacred principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and unity. Principles laid down and defended by Queen Nanny, King Kojo, King Tufton Lewis, General Bookman, and many other mighty spiritual Maroon leaders and wise ancestors. So this is the preamble. This is how we start. We start off with strength, with our ancestral, paying homage to them and giving them the well-deserved blessings and love and appreciate that they have given us, because they were the one that fought for us, so that we have the right now to be able to have our own constitution. So another excerpt I'm reading says, from ancient times, the Nyan Kipong Ashanti Maroons have been called the light of the universe, the first tribe to bring forth giants from the womb of our mothers. Yet our physical growth, and yes, from ancient times, the Nyan Kipong Ashanti Maroons have been called the light of the universe, the first tribe to bring forth giants from the womb of our mothers. Yet our physical growth and spiritual development were hindered through food contamination, birth control programs, poisonous vaccinations, and medical interference imposed by the colonial government. Their ultimate aim was to erase the memory of our ancestors so that present and future generations would wander without direction. They have failed. We rise again, greater and more powerful than before, to unite all Maroon tribes globally, those in the Caribbean, North, Central, and South America, across the continent of Africa, Asia, and the peninsula of Europe, Australia, New Zealand, the Hawaiian Islands, and beyond. One of the highest aims of the Nyan Kipong Global Royal Government is to uphold peace and love among all nations, and to honor the sacred pledge made by our ancestors to the people of our realms, Anunnaki, Greys, Reptilians, Nordics, and others, so long as they uphold their side of the eternal treaty. So the Nyan Kipong Constitution, it states that the government of the Republic, in accordance with the Constitutional Statute of September 15, 2020, and pursuant to the 1738 the 1741 Maroon Treaties conferring cultural autonomy as proposed to the Nayankipung Sovereign Maroon Global Tribal Nation and Territories people to adopt this constitution as the foundation for a Nayankipung Sovereign Maroon Global Tribal Nation and Territories, natives of Atlantis, Examaica, North America. The Emperor of the Republic, in consultation with an interim Maroon Council at present, hereby promulgates the constitutional statute worded as follows. So Part 1 is very interesting because Part 1 goes right into declaration of sovereignty. By declaring the sovereignty, this is how we have the lawful right to enact our constitution, to self-govern ourselves, to have our own political practices, to have our own autonomy in terms of having a central bank, in terms of having a credit union, in terms of doing everything that we are. So we are building on our strength of sovereignty, and that is why it is put this way. So Part 1, Declaration of Sovereignty and the Protection of Ancestral Rights. Article 1. Now, we, the sovereign and self-governing people of the Nayankipung Sovereign Maroon Global Tribal Nation and Territories, heirs of the ancestral Maroon peoples of Atlantis, by right of birth, ancestral bloodline, and international law, hereby proclaim our inalienable right of self-determination, territorial autonomy, and global indigenous representation. Right? This constitution is established in accordance with A, the Maroon Peace Treaties of 1738 to 1741, signed in blood as a sacred covenant between our ancestors and the British Crown, conferring perpetual cultural and territorial autonomy. So, by we reach A, we realize the power and the strength, the force and the might that this constitution comes with. First, it comes with the treaties that shows that we are different from the colonial, where we are a state or a nation different from the colonies, from the colonial British Crown, and hence it is perpetual because it is coming from 1738, from those times. B, the Constitutional Statute of September 15, 2020, which reaffirms our modern government's structure and authority. Now, coming from September 15, 2020, that was the dawning of our first constitution. This constitution is the amended form. So that is the second strength that we come with. First, with our peace treaty, and second, with our first constitution. Now C states that the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People 2007, particularly Articles 3, 4, 5, 26 to 30 and 46, which recognizes our collective right to autonomy, institutions, culture, spirituality, development, education, and land ownership. So by virtue of UN UNDRIP, this gives us the definite way how to govern ourselves, how to govern our nation, and so it is enshrined into this constitution, which gives us that right and that power to act. Now, D, the Declaration of Human and Living Rights, which affirms that each human being has the right to dignity, bodily sovereignty, cultural identity, spiritual beliefs, freedom of conscience, and protection from oppression or extermination. So hence the right to life. Right? So that is Article 1. Article 1.1 is a declaration of sovereign recognition and ancestral protection. It says that we, the lawful and sovereign descendants of our ancestral Maroon nations, keepers of sacred covenants, stewards of divine justice, and inheritance of spiritual, cultural, and territorial legacy under the unified banner of the Nangagon Sovereign Maroon Global Tribal Nation and Territories, do hereby solemnly declare, reaffirm, and assert our sacred, inherent, and internationally recognized sovereign rights over our ancestral lands, waters, spiritual realms, and sacred heritage. So this is very powerful, because what it notes is that we declare our sovereignty over our heritage, but not only that, our sovereign lands by virtue of our ancestral powers and our ancestral lands. So virtually this is saying that, listen, right? So A, declare, reaffirm, and assert our sacred, inherent, and internationally recognized sovereign rights over our ancestral lands, waters, spiritual realms, and sacred heritages. What this means is that we are declaring, reaffirming, and asserting our God-given rights over our sacred and inherent lands. We are indigenous to the land. We are before the colonial government. So the lands is our ancestral lands. Thank you for watching, for staying along with the ride with us. And I hope you do read the Constitution. And if there's any information or any clarification that you need, please feel free to give me a call.